Stop waiting for people to treat you the way you deserve. Stop hoping toxic individuals will change, apologize, or finally get you. Your self-respect isn't in their hands. It never was. Every time you try to prove your worth to someone broken, you hand them a piece of yourself. Toxicity is contagious only if you let it touch your mind. You will be tempted to argue, defend, or retaliate, but that path always ends in surrender. The Stoics saw it clearly. Control what belongs to you and let the rest go. You cannot change them, but you can fortify yourself. Every insult, every manipulation is a test. Will you let them dictate your behavior, or will you rise above it? Today, you learn how to rise. Here's a brutal truth. When someone attacks, criticizes, or belittles you, it has nothing to do with your value. Every toxic remark is a mirror of their wounds, their insecurities, their failed attempts to control life. If you take it personally, you give them power. You should never surrender. Hurt people hurt people. Insecure people lash out to feel superior. Miserable people want company in misery. Your task is simple but demanding. See the attack for what it is. Extract what is useful. Discard the venom. Let their cruelty bounce off the armor of your self-respect. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone does wrong, it's because of their ignorance. Understanding this shields your mind, keeps your dignity intact, and ensures their chaos never becomes your identity." Here's where most people fail. They waste hours, days, even years trying to fix what is beyond their reach. Other people's opinions, their moods, their judgment. Stop. You cannot control them. You can only control yourself, your thoughts, your reactions, your boundaries. Every second spent trying to make them see reason is a second you've handed them your power. Focus relentlessly on your sphere, your responses, your decisions, your energy. Epictetus said it clearly. Some things are within your power. Others are not. Their toxicity is not. Your response is everything. When you govern yourself, you are untouchable. Stop defending. Stop explaining. Stop bending to their chaos. That is sovereignty. That is self-respect. Here's the brutal truth. No insult, no criticism, no manipulation from a toxic person defines your value. Their attacks are a mirror of their brokenness, not your flaws. Every time you take it personally, you hand them authority over your mind. Stop letting them dictate how you feel. Separate their cruelty from your identity. Observe their patterns, constant negativity, projection, envy, manipulation, and understand this is about them, not you. Your worth is intrinsic, not earned by their approval. The moment you internalize this, their words lose their sting. Self-respect begins here. You cannot let someone else's rot rewrite your character. You cannot bend a toxic person to your will. Every attempt to explain, persuade, or fix them is wasted energy. Focus only on what is yours, your response, your boundaries, your choices. This is your battlefield. Your cousin Lisa wasted 5 years trying to earn approval from her critical mother. Exhausted, frustrated, defeated, she finally realized her mother's opinion is not hers to control. The moment she stopped defending herself and started mastering her reactions, she reclaimed her power. Every second spent controlling others is a second surrendered. Govern yourself first, and the chaos around you no longer dictates your peace. This is Stoic sovereignty. You cannot control their behavior, but you can always control your dignity. When someone attacks, every instinct screams to fight back, to match cruelty with cruelty, lies with lies, insult with insult. Don't. Winning the battle by becoming them is a hollow victory. I watched David destroy a toxic colleague, and he won, yet he left the office that day hollow, staring at the reflection of the person he'd become, someone he despised. Self-respect is never measured by how hard you hit back. It's measured by your ability to stay clean, upright, and uncorrupted while surrounded by chaos. Marcus Aurelius said it clearly. The best revenge is not to be like that. Resist the temptation to descend. Maintain your principles, your integrity, and your calm. That is power. That is untouchable. Here's where real power lives. The space between provocation and your action. Most people react instantly, shouting, defending, attacking. That's surrender disguised as resistance. Pause. Even 3 seconds of deliberate breathing gives you control. In that gap, you decide, will I act from anger or from my principles? Will I preserve my self-respect or hand it over on impulse? Epictetus taught, there is a choice in every impression. That choice is yours. Toxic people want instant reactions. They feed on chaos. You deny them that by responding with clarity. not emotion. Your words become weapons of self-mastery, not retaliation. This is where discipline becomes dignity. Your peace is sacred. Every toxic person tests it, looking for cracks. Setting boundaries isn't a request, it's a declaration. This is mine, and you cannot breach it. Stop over-explaining. Stop apologizing. Every justification is a leash. A firm boundary, stated once and held without argument, communicates power without aggression. Seneca warned, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." The fear of conflict is your own invention. Draw the line. Enforce it, and let the consequences fall where they may. Your dignity doesn't require approval. It requires action. Protect what is yours without permission, without guilt, without compromise. The world may push, but your fortress remains intact if you refuse to negotiate your peace. Every toxic encounter triggers an instinct. Lash out, defend, dominate, or prove yourself. That's the reaction, automatic. Emotional and enslaving. The Stoics teach a different path. Response, pause, feel the urge, step back. In the gap between insult and action lies your power. This is where your mind asserts sovereignty. Do not hand them control over your state. Ask yourself, what reflects my true self in this moment? Speak, act, or remain silent, but from choice, not impulse. Every measured response drains their power. They feed on chaos. You thrive on calm. Mastering this skill is the core of self-respect. Your integrity is not negotiable, and it begins in that brief, decisive pause. Self-respect demands action, not just mindset. Boundaries aren't polite requests. They're non-negotiable statements about what you will and won't accept. Toxic people push limits because you let them. Every explanation, apology, or justification weakens the wall. Stop negotiating your dignity. Say it once. This isn't acceptable. Then enforce it without wavering. Do not argue. Do not justify. Do not fear their anger. The Stoics knew, your peace is sacred. It's not up for debate. Every time you honor a boundary, you reclaim authority over your energy and your life. Weak walls crumble. Strong walls endure. Build yours. Protect it. Every provocation is a test. Your instinct screams. Lash out. Defend. Prove them wrong. That's reaction. Reaction surrenders your power to them. Response is deliberate, chosen, conscious. It's the space between their attack and your action, where mastery lives. Pause. Breathe. Ask, which action protects my integrity? Speak only if it honors your values, not your ego. Silence is a response too. The Stoics called this the rule of the gap. Epictetus said, between stimulus and response lies your freedom. Every moment you pause, you take back control, react, and you hand them the keys to your mind. Respond, and you remain unshakable. Toxic people aim to infiltrate your mind before they touch your life. Words sting only if you let them. Your first line of defense is mental sovereignty. When someone tries to make you doubt, question, or hate yourself, recognize it immediately. This thought is not mine. Separate the external attack from your internal world. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly that other people's opinions are not truths, only projections. You decide which beliefs you own. Reject mental trespassers. Do not let their bitterness seed fear, anger, or guilt inside you. Each time you refuse to internalize their venom, you reclaim power. Protect your mind like a fortress. It's the only space where your self-respect lives unassailable. Toxic people thrive on emotional reactions. They provoke because they know anger, frustration, or fear is currency. Your challenge is to feel without surrendering. Emotions are natural, but they do not have to dictate your actions. Seneca said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for what he has not, but rejoices for what he has." Apply this to interactions. Notice irritation, hurt, or jealousy rise, but do not feed them. Observe, name them, let them pass like clouds. When you detach emotionally, you remove the fuel from their fire. You remain grounded, calm, and strategic. Emotional detachment is not coldness, it's self-possession. You own your reactions. They do not own you. Every time you respond from clarity rather than impulse, you enforce your sovereignty. Every interaction with a toxic person is a potential drain on your energy and focus. Time is your most valuable resource. The Stoics remind us, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Stop giving your energy to people who thrive on chaos, manipulation, or drama. Evaluate every conversation. Does this serve my growth, my peace, my mission? If the answer is no, cut it short or walk away. Your time is a weapon, your attention a shield. Reclaim them ruthlessly. Toxic people may demand hours of explanation, validation, or debate, but you control your calendar, your boundaries, your focus. Protect them like a fortress. Every moment you save is a victory for your self-respect and mental clarity. Toxic people provoke you because they know most will react emotionally. They want outrage, guilt, shame, or fear. Here's the Stoic truth. Their actions only have power if you give them power. Pain is optional. Emotional suffering is a choice. Imagine a provocateur throwing arrows at you. If you lower the emotional shield, every arrow strikes. Keep your shield high. Observe their attacks without internalizing them. Feel the irritation, the anger, the urge to retaliate, but do not act on it. Pause, assess, respond only from your principles. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Toxicity will always exist, but your emotional detachment is your armor. Practice seeing their cruelty as noise, their insults as reflections of themselves, not reflections of your worth. Toxic people steal more than your peace. They steal your time. Every argument, every justification, every defensive explanation is a minute you can never get back. Marcus Aurelius warned against wasting life on trivial battles. Don't act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good. Your energy is finite, and giving it to those who seek only to drain you is self-betrayal. Guard your schedule like a fortress. If a person consistently brings chaos or negativity, limit your exposure. Protect spaces, physical, mental, digital, where you can think, work, and grow without interruption. Toxicity thrives on access. Deny them it. Remember, self-respect is not passive, it's strategic. Say no without guilt. Walk away without shame. Every minute reclaimed is a declaration. I am the master of my life, not your toxicity. Too many people think silence is submission. It's not. Silence is power. Every word you waste defending yourself, correcting a lie, or proving a point is fuel for a toxic person. They live off your reactions. The Stoics understood this. Epictetus wrote, "We are disturbed not by what happens to us, but by our opinions about it. By refusing to engage, you deny them control over your mind. Your quiet is a fortress. Your calm is a statement. When provoked, pause, breathe. Observe the attack for what it is, a reflection of their inner chaos. Respond only if it preserves your dignity. Otherwise, let the words hit and dissolve in silence. This is active resistance, not cowardice. Every unreacted jab chips away at their influence. Over time, their attempts to provoke you will lose meaning, leaving them exhausted, frustrated, and powerless. You don't have to fight every battle. Some battles aren't yours to win. Every second you invest in a toxic person's chaos is a second stolen from your growth, your goals, your peace. Modern psychology calls this emotional contagion. Their negativity infects your state if you let it. Stoicism calls it misplaced attachment. You cannot control them, but you can control where your attention goes. Ask yourself constantly, is this worth my energy? Will this improve my life? Or only feed theirs? When the answer is no, withdraw. Refuse the drama. Refuse the bait. Refuse the mental tug of war. Your focus is sacred. Guard it like a temple. The louder they scream, the calmer you must remain. The more they try to manipulate, the more you must observe your own intentions and reactions. Energy invested in their chaos is energy you can never reclaim. Choose your battles. Invest your focus like a currency that compounds interest only in your life, not theirs. Boundaries are not suggestions. They are statements of sovereignty. Most people treat them like polite requests, bending under pressure, offering explanations, begging for acceptance. That is self-abandonment disguised as politeness. Stoics knew that clarity protects peace. Your limits are non-negotiable. You do not owe anyone a justification for protecting your mental or emotional space. When a toxic person challenges you, repeat your boundary calmly, without emotion, without over-explaining. This is not acceptable. I will not engage. Silence after that is your ally. Any attempt to debate, guilt, or manipulate is theirs alone. It cannot penetrate your steadfast stance. Every time you flinch, you signal weakness. Every time you hold firm, you reclaim power. Boundaries are invisible walls, strong, silent, and impermeable. You do not justify a wall. You build it, and you enforce it, daily, relentlessly, without apology. The instant someone tries to provoke you, your brain screams for retaliation. That is instinct, not wisdom. The Stoics taught us that power lives in the gap, the space between what happens to you and how you react. Most people surrender to that gap. They lash out, defend, justify, explode, and in doing so, hand over control of their mind. You will not do that. Train yourself to pause, even for 3 seconds. Breathe. Observe the surge of anger, frustration, or fear, and choose your response deliberately. Ask yourself, will this preserve my integrity? Will it honor who I am? Responding with measured calm does not mean weakness. It signals command over yourself. Toxic people want to see you lose your composure because that validates them. Refuse them that validation. Let your calmness be the silent storm they cannot control or predict. Power is not in their destruction. It is in your discipline. Self-respect demands boundaries that are non-negotiable. Most people hedge their limits with explanations, apologies, or justifications. Stop that. Every word you add is ammunition for manipulation. Toxic people thrive on debate. They exploit your need for approval. The Stoics knew this. A boundary is not a request, it's a declaration. You say, "This is not acceptable," and you stop. End of discussion. You do not justify, you do not debate, you do not plead. You enforce. Your energy, your time, your peace are yours to protect. The moment you defend your boundary, you hand them a lever over you. Do not give it like a wall. Your limits must stand firm and silent, impervious to attack. The discomfort they feel is not your problem. Their frustration is the cost of your dignity. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Enforce your boundaries without fear, without guilt, without explanation. Protecting yourself is not selfish, it's essential. Not every insult deserves a response. Not every provocation requires your energy. Most people think silence equals weakness. They are wrong. Silence is the ultimate armor. It says, "You are not worthy of my attention." Toxic people live off reactions. They measure control by your emotional chaos. You refuse to supply it, and suddenly their power evaporates. Karen, a colleague I coached, endured months of subtle digs at work. Every rebuttal fed the fire. Then she stopped. She simply looked, paused, and returned to her task. Within weeks, the attacks faded. The chaos died. Silence communicates strength without engagement. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, "You always own the option of having no opinion." Silence is not surrender. It is refusal to participate in a game you choose not to play. Your energy is sacred. Protect it. Let the venom land, then evaporate. Respond selectively. Speak when it matters. Otherwise, let the storm pass in silence. By now, you've learned the principles. Separate their toxicity from your worth. Control your own response. Never mirror cruelty. Respond deliberately. Set boundaries without apology. And wield silence as your weapon. These aren't abstract ideas. They are daily actions that protect your dignity. Self-respect isn't reactive. It's proactive mastery over yourself. Every time you pause before answering, every time you refuse to engage in drama, every time you stand firm behind a boundary, you reinforce who you are. Toxic people may rage, manipulate, or belittle, but they cannot touch your character if you refuse to let them. Your self-respect becomes an unshakable fortress. Let this truth burn into your mind. Winning over toxic people is meaningless if you lose yourself in the process. Real victory is walking away unbroken, intact, and untouchable in your integrity. This is where theory becomes reality. Everything you've learned, the separation of their cruelty from your value, the control over your response, the refusal to mirror toxicity, the deliberate pauses, the boundaries, the silence, must now live in your daily choices. You cannot afford to wait for circumstances to change. Every day you allow toxic people to dictate your emotions. Your focus or your self-worth is a day you surrender your power. Decide today that your mind, your energy, your peace, and your dignity are non-negotiable. Practice these principles relentlessly until they become instinct. Watch how your confidence rises, how manipulations lose their grip, how calmness becomes your signature, and how respect, both self-respect and from others, follows naturally.